I know you're going to find this hard to believe. I know I find it hard to believe. But there are benefits to being married to a psychiatrist. And one of those is that you get to go on trips. You see, psychiatrists need periodically these continuing medical education credits. And they pick places to go to, have little conventions, classes, whatever you want to call them, where they can take classes and get credits. And so, I get to go along to New York, Orlando, San Francisco. And during the daytime, while my wife's in the classes, I wander around and do whatever one does in places like that. And then in the evening, we have dinner together, maybe taking a show. And I've developed this kind of game that I play during the day, and that is figuring out who are the other psychiatrists who are skipping classes and wandering around town. I try to develop a kind of a radar for telling psychiatrists. I don't have a nifty term like gaydar for it, but I've named it, "Why do you feel that way, Dar?" And so I kind of try to spot the psychiatrist. And it's a lot different descending on a hotel or a convention center with a couple thousand psychiatrists, a lot different from descending on a hotel or convention center with a couple thousand insurance agents, which I've done in another incarnation. There just is a certain ambiance to a psychiatrist. Anyway, so that's the game I play as I go around to these places. And but there was one year when I actually went to the classes too. We went to Santa Fe for a class called Creativity and Madness. And what it involved was sitting and listening to some of my favorite music, from Bach all the way to Janis Joplin. Luckily, Kanye West was not popular yet. But anyway, so we do this sort of thing. And one year, and this was more than 20 years ago, they had one of these conventions, or whatever you call them, in Las Vegas. And I went along, and when it comes to gambling, casino gambling, I'm a traditionalist. And that's where the tradition comes in here, because I am really a traditionalist about gambling. I like pure stud poker. No wild cards, nothing fancy, and good luck finding that in a casino. But I like plain blackjack, with nothing fancy, no special side bets on whether you can get two queens or anything like that, just regular old blackjack. And I feel that this is a way that I can sit, bet small amounts of money, and as long as I play with skill, there is some skill involved. It's not dependent on luck and chance. As long as I play with skill, I won't do too bad. I'll win a little money, I'll lose a little money, and I have fun and I enjoy the camaraderie. And if I lose a little, that's what it costs. If I win a little, great. So, I was in Las Vegas playing a lot of blackjack during the day while my wife was in class, and there was this one guy I saw all the time, every day. He was always out there, and he was doing everything that I consider wrong. He was believing in lucky streaks, so he bet tons of money when he thought the next deal was going to be better. And he was accepting every free drink the house offered. And he was there all day, every day, and he lost all day, every day. And he lost really big amounts of money. So on the last day that I was there, the final day of the week, he was always friendly. He didn't let anything bother him. He was open for conversation about any of it. And so the last day I was there, I said to him, "Oh, what brings you to Las Vegas?" And he said, "Well, I'm here for the psychiatrist conference." And I said, well, today they're having their big closing session now. You're not there, and you've been here all week. He said, yeah, I'm researching compulsive gambling. So my why do you feel that way, Dar, had failed me on him. And another day, early in the week, it was about 8 o'clock in the morning, I had walked my wife to her class, and I was coming back through the casino. Of course, everywhere you go in Las Vegas, you have to come through the casino. And, I was interested in these newfangled games, even though this isn't my style. I like the pure stuff. They have all these fancy things, like there was one they called Pai Gow Poker. And it turns out that Pai Gow Poker, I didn't know at the time, but I know now, is a combination of a Chinese domino game called Pai Gow and a game you can play with playing cards. You play it with a 52 card deck plus one joker. And it is extremely complicated. You've got 2 cards here and 7 cards there, and you play against the dealer like in blackjack. But it's got all the gimmicks I hate. And to give you an example of how complicated, how weird it is, the joker is partly wild. It's a wild card in some combinations and not others. So I'm looking at this, they got this whole section of Pai Gow Poker. It's early in the morning, it's quiet, there aren't a lot of people around. It's kind of when I like the casino. And there are these 2 guys sitting there playing Pai Gow Poker and a young woman dealer. So I stand up behind the 2 guys. There's an older man on my right and a younger man on my left. Their backs to me, and I'm just trying to figure out what's going on. And the dealer tries to engage me in conversation and encourage me to join in. And, they explain that the older guy was teaching the younger guy. The younger guy had never played Pai Gow Poker before. And the older guy was coaching him, giving him advice. And the younger guy was winning like crazy. The older guy was not doing too great. He was just kind of holding his own. And the younger guy was way ahead, and we just, there's this camaraderie in casinos, and they convinced me to sit down, and I asked if the older guy was willing to coach 2 people at the same time. He said okay, and I sat down on his, to his right. He was on my left. So we sit, and we're playing the game, and I'm asking him questions, and he's giving me very brief, precise answers, always looking down at his cards in front of him, at my cards. Never made eye contact, never turned around, never seemed to want to make any conversation whatsoever. This guy was clearly not a psychiatrist. And so we're playing a while, and again, this strange, almost like a wall between us. He was willing to answer my questions, but he didn't want to turn around. He didn't want to look at me. It was an awkward. I felt awkward. And after a little while, he said, "Oh, I'm losing. I'm kind of tired of losing here, and I'm just going to go back to my room." And he walked away. And as he walked away, I heard the dealer turn to the younger guy and said, "Wow, I almost blew it. I made a mistake. I almost said, gee, you look so much older now, I almost didn't recognize you." And I said, "Why? Who was that?" And they said, "Alan Alda." So I figure that in this case, I defied my tradition. I sat down at a table where pure luck is the whole thing. I lost maybe $30, $40, but I won. I came away with the right for the rest of my life to say, Alan Alda taught me how to play Pai Gow Poker.